Welcome and good afternoon. My name is Commish Orr, and today I thought I would do a probably short video to let you know about the setup for a new project that I'm starting using History Maker Baseball. I'm going to have another project still with Payoff Pitch. That league wrapped up last week, I think. Was it last week? Wrapped up recently. With the World Series. And so I'm going to be doing another project with Payoff Pitch, but I'm also going to be starting something with a different game, History Maker Baseball. So I thought I'd talk today about what the league setup is going to look like and what you can expect if you are curious about the league. So first off, as always, you can always head over to baseballmaelstrom.com to keep updated on all of the action. When I start playing the History Maker Baseball League, those results will be out here on the website. Currently, it shows the results from the recently completed Payoff Pitch game that I finished up. I'm going to try to find a way to actually have both of my projects on this website together, so that you can kind of keep track of both of those as you wish. So you'll always be able to see the stats and that kind of thing. Once again, I do plan on using ball score to keep the stats. The good news is that keeps very accurate stats, and it also gives us score sheets to look at. For example, each game will have something like this, where you can see the box score on one side and the score sheet on the other. I feel like that gives a good mix of seeing not only the box score, what happened, but the score sheet gives you an idea of what happened inning by inning, so you can kind of keep up with that. I thought about using another software. Digital Diamond, I know, has a software, and there's other software out there, but I really like having the score sheet visible when I'm playing. So that's one of the things I really enjoy, and one thing that's not available with other software out there. And I know that the ball score, ball stat days are numbered, probably because it's not being updated anymore. But until that time, I think I'm going to continue to use it unless something else better comes along. So that just gives you an idea of that. So the league itself, History Maker Baseball League. I tend not to do replays, season replays, that kind of thing, or just straight one-off games and that kind of thing. So I wanted to do something interesting, and it kind of was well suited for this. What I'm going to do is History Maker Baseball has the all-time franchise cards, or is it all-time franchise greats? I think it's called, for every franchise, every MLB franchise, which there are 30. And so there are the all-time best players for each franchise are carded, and there are 4 sets, so that you can get all 30 teams if you have all 4 sets, which I did. I purchased all 4 sets. And what I'm going to do is bring something back from the old Out of the Park days, and that is the Triple-Elimination tournament. So when I ran with my co-commissioner, when I ran a league back in the 2000s for 10-ish years, we had something kind of unique in our league at the end of the season. The teams that didn't make the playoffs competed in a Triple-Elimination tournament. So that still gave something for people who didn't make the playoffs, something to watch and kind of keep track of and follow, even if their teams were out of contention. So that's I thought about bringing that idea back, and that's what I'm going to do, is have the Triple-Elimination tournament, meaning every team will play in the tournament until they lose 3 times, and then they're knocked out. And what I've done is I've seeded the American and National League divisions, if you will, into a bracket, and they are seeded based on the franchise's all-time winning percentage. So that's as of the start of the current season, the start of the 2023 season. So it does not take into account the standings from the current 2023 season, but it's as of the 2022 season, the end of the 2022 season, in terms of their all-time winning percentage. And so I've done that. And you may be asking yourself, because you see 16 teams here, but you know that there's only 15 American and 15 National League franchises. Well, that's how I have them arranged. Where's the extra team come in? Well, I also am bringing in one team from the Japanese League and one team from the Negro Leagues in order to fill out the bracket with 16 American and 16 National League teams. So with a bracket of 32, it makes the bracket nicer, and B, it represents everything. Everything. So so here are the seeding for the American League. You have the Yankees seeded first, Boston number 2, Cleveland number 3, Detroit number 4, Chicago number 5, LA number 6. That's the LA American League LA franchise, the LA Angels. Houston number 7. Yes, I put Houston in the American League in this case. Toronto number 8. And then the Yomiuri Giants, which is the Japanese represented team, is number 9. They have the most championships in the Japanese league, so that's why I picked them. Number 10 is Oakland, 11 Tampa Bay, 12 is Minnesota, 13 Kansas City, 14 Texas, 15 Baltimore, and 16 Seattle. So they're all seated here. Here you can see the winner's bracket. Once a team loses in the winner's bracket, they drop down here to the loser's bracket. Once a team loses in the loser's bracket, they drop down to the elimination bracket. And so there aren't any scheduled days off. The only days off are going to occur because maybe that particular bracket has to wait for a loser from above to fall into it, if that makes sense. So that's the only days off, really. And of course, the winner of the winner's bracket, the team that wins through the winner's bracket, is going to have some days off because they'll have to wait for everything to resolve itself down below, if that makes sense. So again, this is the American League side. On the National League, on the National League, we have San Francisco number 1, LA number 2, St. Louis number 3, Chicago number 4, Cincy number 5, Pittsburgh at 6, Atlanta 7th, 8th is Washington, and then 9th is the Homestead Grays from the Negro Leagues. Again, they had the most appearances and the most championships for the Negro Leagues, so that's why I'm using them. Number 10, Arizona, 11, Milwaukee, 12, New York Mets, 13, Philadelphia, 14, Colorado, 15, San Diego, and 16, Miami, to round out the National League side of the bracket. So, with 30 teams, you're looking at approximately 90 games, roughly. And obviously, the teams won't play an even number of games because with the tournament, the team that wins through here is only going to play, 4 games, 5 to get to the championship, if you will. And then the National League champion and the American League champion will face off at the end. So that's kind of how I have the bracket set up, if you're curious about that. And so let's look at the cards. So what I've done is I've basically taken pictures of the sheets of cards for each franchise, and I have them ready to go. Because of my setup, I don't have a lot of desk space to and a good spot to play this that's comfortable. A good comfortable spot to play this with traditional cards and dice like I normally would, or like you might normally do it. So I try to do what I can on the laptop because it's allows me to play wherever and comfortably. And so that's why I've taken pictures of all these cards, the physical cards, and uploaded these sheets. So I have a sheet for each team for the hitters and a sheet for the pitchers. And unlike the prior league, the Payoff Pitch League, where I had an individual picture of each card, I was thinking of doing that, but the problem is there's 32 teams to deal with now, and 32 times 20, the rosters are probably 20, 25 to 27 players, sometimes 28, I think. And so if you multiply that out, you get to quite hundreds and hundreds of cards. The other league, the Payoff Pitch League, that was 200 cards roughly. And this is that's more than triple this. So there'd be more than triple that number. And so just the time of making individual pictures of each of these cards, I figured that I didn't really want to spend time doing that, or it'd take me that much longer to get the league started. So I just have them a sheet of the pitchers, a sheet of the hitters, and I think I'm just going to see how that works for me. And so I have every team in here, and I've used some homemade or home brewed. There's a great Negro League set out there, and I'm sorry for not giving the proper amount of props to the person that created it. I can't remember who created this offhand, but this is not my creation. This was a created set for the Negro Leagues, and I have similar cards for the Japanese leagues that I'm using for the Giants from the Japanese league. And so I think that's here at the end somewhere. There we go. And so that's what I'm going to use for that. Again, I give all of the props to the people that created those particular sets. So the regular franchise sets obviously are official History Maker baseball sets, and the Negro League and Japanese League sets are homebrewed, if you will, by people with some experience in those particular leagues. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. And as always, I have a large spreadsheet to keep track of pitching rotations and lineups and that kind of thing. So what I've done is all of the players are listed for each team or each franchise, along with their batting and throwing hand, their position, their primary position, I should say, and then their stats for the year in question. So the way History Maker Baseball cards these players is it takes their quote unquote best season from that particular franchise and creates a card based on the stats from that particular season. So what I've done is I've taken the season in question, the player in question, and I kind of entered their stats here, so that I'd have their historical stats. Obviously, the cards are based on those stats, but there's a formula involved on the back end to kind of create the cards and create the attributes or the traits for each player. The only thing I've done is I've kind of created you see the on base and slugging, and you see the some other generative stats, I guess, from their stats that I'm using, like a run rating based on the way that History Maker Baseball calculates stealing. I've kind of created that, and then on the pitcher side, I've done a power and control. Again, calculated loosely based on the way History Maker Baseball calculates the cards for those particular pitchers. And then I've already color-coded, if you will, or highlighted the top 10 batters, or the top 9 batters, because I'm going to use the DH in this league, and so that's easy to see as well. And then that'll make it easier to create a lineup and all that stuff. But again, with so many players, with more than three times as many players as the Payoff Pitch League, I'm not going to take the time probably to cut each individual card, for example. And I'm not going to take the time on the website to create a page for every player like I did with the Payoff Pitch League, just because it's time prohibitive, I guess, to do that. Instead, I'm going to keep track this way. That being said, on the Baseball Maelstrom website, you'll still be able to keep track of everything. You'll still be able to see box scores and score sheets, and they will be all the player stats will be in. I'm going to be keeping track of those through ball score and ball stat and generate the web pages from ball stat like I normally do. So you'll still be able to view all of the stats just the way you have in the past. You just won't see, if I can go back to it here, you won't see the, like you won't be able to click on the team pages and see a team page set up like this, like the way I did it for the Payoff Pitch League. Again, because of the time, just the time it takes to set something like that up. And the schedule, I guess the standings won't really matter as much because we're not going by record necessarily as we are just through the triple elimination. So you won't be able to see that. Some of these pages won't look the same. You can't see a player. You're not going to be able to click on the player list and see a player list this way. But all of those stats will be kept in ball stat. So that's kind of what the plan is. With 90 games compared to the Payoff Pitch League was 216 regular season, plus the 6 games for the World Series. So that ended up being 222. 90 games is probably doable in about half the time it took me to do the other one, assuming that I play at the same rate. Now that may be different because I'm going to throw my other Payoff Pitch League in here too, and I may have 2 projects going on at the same time. So in that case, it may take me a while to get through the tournament. If I split time equally, it may take me a year or more to get through the tournament. So it's going to be a longer project like that. It's not going to be some short-term project, but that kind of gives you an example of what I'm looking at and how I plan to track some of this stuff. Let me know. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and kind of give you an idea of what to look forward to with the next project. I'll make another video once I figure out what I'm going to do on the payoff pitch side. I may very well get the History Maker Baseball one started. I probably will, actually. I'll probably get this one started and get this one going, and at some point figure out what I'm going to do for the Payoff Pitch League. To throw another wrench into the mix, I am very happy that I won a giveaway on Sportsman Z, Bob Zulke's page. So he was generous enough to offer the Stratomatic All-Star Collector's Edition All-Star, the 1933 and 1983, I believe, All-Stars, American and National League All-Stars. I did receive those, so again, big thank you to Sportsman Z, Bob Zulke, for sending those my way in the giveaway that he had. So I may do something with those. I'm not sure what yet, but that's just throwing another wrench into this mix. With all that said, I think I've rambled long enough. If you're still listening, thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you have any comments, suggestions, what you think, what you're looking forward to seeing. Who do you think, prediction, who do you think's going to win the tournament? The cool thing about a triple elimination tournament like this is that since it's an individual game and they're not playing series against each other, anybody can win an individual game. So even though the Giants, the San Francisco Giants and New York Yankees are the #1 seed in the American and National League, I doubt that we'll see them win through and win the tournament just because of sheer odds. But you never know. Strange things can happen. And there's a whole story. There's a bunch of stories I could tell you about the triple elimination tournament that we ran in the Out of the Park League back in the 2000s. Some just crazy stuff that happened in that tournament, which is just very cool to watch. So I'm looking forward to this. Hopefully you are as well. Consider clicking the subscribe button if you don't want to miss anything. And as always, have a great evening.